Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Extra Time, the U.S. Men's National Team Soccer Podcast. I'm Tim. I'm here with my brother. Boy, do we have a game to talk about. What a disappointment. United States Men's National Team falling to Panama 1-0. Going to talk about the performance, going to go through our emotions, everything, how we're feeling about Pochettino, the team, the squad, who was left out, everything. I don't know where it's going to wind up. I know it's going to be heated. Hopefully somebody talks us off the ledge. Hopefully we both don't need each other to talk each other off the ledge. I don't know. We're going to get into it. That's what's coming up on this episode. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you can get more content like this. It helps us out. It's how the algorithm works. It's not my call. It's how it goes. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, Ryan, United States, losing to Panama 1-0.
Correct.
Where do you want to start? Where like, I guess we should start. Okay, we should start with the fact that we're missing 5 starters.
Correct.
I'm not saying this is an excuse. I'm not saying
half
this.
Your starters. Half
Yes.
of your starters.
We're missing half of our starters. And again, I'm not saying this is an excuse. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't have. I just think it's an important point to make at this point in the game that we are missing 5 of our players.
Correct.
So
yeah, and I mean, it sucks, but guys have to come in off the bench. Guys that are normally not starters that are starting have to step up. This is literally, you need to prove to the coach you deserve to be there.
correct.
And now I will start by saying I only got to see the highlights of the first half, and then I saw the whole second half. I was not able to watch the first half. So
Well,
I
you
don't
didn't miss
know.
much. You didn't miss much in the first half.
And that's what you said. But the second half, no one really stood out. Tyler Adams played very well, I thought. Christian Pulisic's work ethic was there in the second half. He looked good. And then who was it? The striker.
Oh, Digimon? I don't know how to say his name.
Digimon.
Abyamang?
What?
I don't know his name. I don't know how to say it.
Oh my God!
I called him the wrong name. I called him like Abyamang or something. Abemayang, but it's not.
Ajimong.
Ajimang. Yeah. Okay, but all right. So there are so many.
Played well, but nobody else did.
But before we even go into it, there are so many bits and pieces that people are pulling away from this that are really frustrating to me. And one of the first things that people are talking about is how the United States has lost to Panama now repeatedly, right? The last X number of tournament. And to me, yes, that statistic is true, but also that statistic really doesn't matter a whole lot, right? Copa America, did Panama knock us out? Yes, with a huge asterisk. Tim Weah knocked us out. And I'm saying, I don't care. Come at me for that statement. We're not losing to Panama the way we're playing in that game unless we get a red card, because we still almost won down 10 guys. I'm wondering where that squad was tonight or yesterday.
5 of them were
yesterday.
absent.
Yeah, but it's still there's no fight, there's no passion, there's no nothing. It's flat and boring, and we're going to get into all that. Panama knocking us out of a Gold Cup and now knocking us out of a Nations League. Again, I get it. We should be performing against CONCACAF teams. We should be performing in tournaments. Nations League and Gold Cups don't matter. And you and I have proof of this because we talked about it before the World Cup, and everybody was crapping on us because it's the United States isn't doing the things they need to be doing. And you and I both said there's a big difference between CONCACAF play and FIFA World Cup play. And as soon as international play started, the United States sailed to the top and all the other countries fell off. And we were able to sit here and say, go ahead and beat us in CONCACAF play, because it doesn't mean anything when the World Cup rolls around. Am I crazy? Am I not crazy? How do you feel about that take?
I mean, there's obviously a difference. Last night's game, the refereeing seemed fine. I mean, there wasn't the standard chippy, like aggressive play that you normally see in the CONCACAF games. But I think that's from the lack of fight that you were talking about from the US. Like they just didn't want it. Um, the there is a big difference. I mean, look at how, like you said, go to the World Cup, right? Canada doesn't win a game in group stage. Mexico wins one, loses two, right? What was it? Panama loses all theirs, right? The U.S. wins, draws, wins, or draw, win, right? We don't lose a game in group stage. Now, and you could say we arguably had one of the harder group stages based
Correct.
on
Yeah,
team ranking.
I think a lot of people believe that we were in. I think it was us in Mexico. I think Mexico might have had a slightly
Yes,
harder group than we did, but
yeah.
we had a
Mexico
very
had
difficult group.
Argentina,
Yep.
which yes is tough, especially since they won the whole thing. But based on FIFA rankings and how close everyone was, our group was probably the hardest. And
Agreed.
it and the way the US plays better in international play than CONCACAF play because we like to knock the ball around. And you saw that against Panama. There were some great moments of, wow, we're really moving the ball around well, and then we just couldn't create a chance.
Yes, we had a burst, and I want to say it was like between the 25th minute and like the 32nd minute. We had a burst where we put on we had two goal scoring opportunities through just really nice like ticky tack, play the ball in down the flank to Musa. Musa plays in McKinney deep. McKinney turns and knocks the ball in the field. Josh Sargent hits the ball, gets caught in a defender's legs, hits the goalie, hits the post, and they clear it out. Right. Immediately play another ball in shortly after that, get another goal scoring opportunity. Excuse me, that just and then yes, way is way offsides, and I wish we'd stop doing this crazy offsides thing. But outside of that, that ball coming in, like Josh Sargent, he's got his back to the goal. He's falling away from goal. He just turns and hits it first time, and it's a strike. It's right in the side of the net. Like the goal itself obviously doesn't stand, but the strike is something you got to look at. Like he's in that position. It's a goal scorer's goal. Like he puts it away. So we had a stretch in the first half. We just didn't have any life in us outside of that.
And the second half, there were times where we had really great ball movement, right? Ball
Mm-hmm.
around. Ajiman gets two wonderful opportunities to score, right?
Almost immediately upon coming onto the pitch, too. Almost
Correct.
immediately upon coming onto the pitch.
I honestly think if he had been on since the start of the half, he scores that first one.
Yes.
Just because he's got his legs under him and he's got the feel for the game. That was literally his first touches on the ball.
Correct. And the ball's like, it didn't get under his feet as much as I thought it was going to be. He did have it kind of out, but I think he thought he was going to be able to just tuck that in the corner, and he just didn't get enough pace on it. Like he really just didn't have the opportunity to get enough pace on it like we were hoping.
It's a nice save. It's a nice save
Mhm.
because it's low to the ground. It's low to the body. That's not easy to make a save.
Correct.
But the second one, I get it gets caught in his legs, and it's a nice cross from Pulisic. But again, do I think that one? That one I think is tough. I'm not sure he gets that one, but we have these moments where the U.S. strives when we control the midfield, we knock the ball around, and it's something we have always said. When we played England in the World Cup, we beat them in the midfield. We look like the better team.
Mhm.
When we played Panama, yes, we beat them in the midfield. But we didn't look like the better team because we looked terrible, right? And one of the things with CONCACAF that hurts the US is normally the games are chippy and there's fouls, lots of them, right? There weren't that many in this one.
No,
In reality,
and that's
to
something that was
a
really
normal.
impressive. Correct, compared to normal CONCACAF games, is you and I are normally going, this game's out of hand. These guys are going to. And to Panama's credit, they didn't take that approach. They didn't come out and throw chippy fouls. They didn't try to get under our skin.
When you're a team that likes to thrive on, passing it around, making the other team work, controlling the midfield, controlling the ball, you can't do that when there's fouls everywhere. Right? Because your momentum, the other team fouls you, your momentum is gone. Like you're setting up to take the free kick.
Right.
All of that. They get the chance to get their guys back. All that. So when we play
And if you're playing a team
internationally,
on the counterattack, that's what they want because they don't want that pace of play. They don't want
correct.
the momentum going on. They want to interrupt the game. They want to get their guys back playing man-to-man coverage. They want to maximize the amount of opportunities they can to take the ball away and play it up the field.
Yeah. So now go to international play, not CONCACAF. That's the majority of the way teams play. Look at Spain when they won the World Cup. What did they do? They just possessed the ball, knocked it around, waited for their opportunity, took it, scored a goal. Right? Look at Argentina when they win. They control the ball really well through the midfield with Messi.
Yeah, like France when they won, Brazil when they won.
Yes. And the US can do it. In CONCACAF, it's harder. Now, I'm not saying that if you threw Germany or England into CONCACAF, they would struggle the way the US struggles. I don't think so because they're
Because they
right
can
now
break down a low block.
a low. Yes.
And I
They
think
have
that's something that we got to talk about in this. You finish your thought because that's something that we got to talk about in this stretch. It's a big difference between international play and CONCACAF is that low block.
and I think one of the big reasons the US can't is we don't have a striker. Right?
Correct.
With Ricardo Pepe and Florian Balogun both hurt, both out. I get it. Do I think watching the second half, there were moments where I was like, damn, I really wish Pepe was in, or dang, I really wish Balogun was in. Yes. I think Pepe scores that goal instead of Ajiman. If that's Pepe on that break, I think that ball is in the net 90% of the time.
Yes, agreed.
Right?
But you've got to give credit to Ajimang because
correct.
He's a big, strong guy, and that's not a play that I've seen Pepe make. I've seen Balogun make it maybe 70% of the time, where a ball gets played in and you have to shield that guy off because he tosses that Panama guy, and he gets in front of me, steps in. That's not something we've seen from Pepe a lot.
Correct. But watching him at PSV when he played, he's getting much better at it.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a lot of moments where he shielded the ball well, he's turned with the ball well, and he's had decent scoring opportunities off of it. Panama is not the defenders on Panama are not anywhere near as good as the guys he was playing against in the Champions League when I was watching him do it. Like he's scoring goals in the Champions League, right? That is literally the best of the best.
Correct. No, correct.
So for him to be able to shield a ball, turn, and score a goal in the Champions League means there's nobody on Panama's defense that should be able to stop him from doing that.
Right.
Right? Now, I'm not saying that means he just runs all over them because that's not how it. You're not just going to run all over them. But, given enough opportunities, he's eventually going to get one. Mm-hmm. And that's something that all of the other teams have in international play. Even when subs are made. So even when Julian Alvarez comes off the field for Argentina, right? They still have Di Maria. They still have Messi, right? They still had at one time Sergio Aguero, right? Like they have these guys that are like, yeah, we can score goals. England, right? You've got Harry Kane. You've got Marcus Rashford. You've got Jack Grealish. You've got Phil Foden.
Yep.
Right? Even Norway, it's got Højlund, it's got Holland, it's got Erdegaard, right? Like you take out one of their strikers, they still have strikers.
Right.
You take out Pepe from our team, who's our striker?
Right. Yeah, and
right?
it's up until recently, like we lost Pepe, you lost everybody. Well, then we got Balogun. Oh, okay, so now we have two strikers. Well, there's a bunch of people who are like big fans of Josh Sargent. And yes, he's doing great in the championship right now. He's putting in a lot of goals in the championship. This is something we've seen consistently from our strikers is we find these guys that are doing great in international play. I'm not even going to say great. They're doing average striker things or slightly above average striker things. And we bring them into the international scene and they just don't produce.
Yeah,
right?
They fall apart.
Now, Pepe has started to, and we talked about this a bunch, that I really thought Pepe was solidifying himself as a number one striker from a stat line. Because
even if he was just coming off the bench.
Correct, because Balogun wasn't putting up the results. He just wasn't doing it. So when we going back to that international thing, one of the things that we have to talk about, okay, and I'm going to get into the game, and I'm going to lay into us, This is not me trying to say this is an acceptable performance or any of those things. But something that has to be stated. When we as United States fans complain because, oh, our friendlies are Turkey and Switzerland. Why aren't we playing the Brazils? Why aren't we playing the Argentinas? Why aren't we playing the Germanys? When Panama plays us, that's what's happening. We are to Panama like Germany is to us.
Correct. So
when you can't replicate that in a practice, you can't replicate that in these games. The United States, as much as you want to lay into them and say, guys, take it serious, guys, play it like a final, guys, play it like whatever, you just can't mentally tell yourself it's like Germany, it's like Brazil, it's like Argentina, because it's not.
And they don't play that way.
Correct. Now, is that an excuse to play down to your opponent? No. And that's what we saw. We watched the United States go out and play flat and play down to their opponents and just get spanked. Okay? And I'm saying spanked in it like pretty loosely because the reality is at no point did Panama have a chance in that game. Like
right.
even honestly,
30% possession, one shot on target, right? 80% pass accuracy. It was just they did nothing, right? Compared to the US's 5 shots on target, 70% possession, 89% pass accuracy, 9 corners.
Correct.
Right?
No, and you and I said it when that goal went in. We both said that's the only shot Panama's had on goal all game. Right?
But
it's the only one that was on target.
Tim? Let's jump back 12 years. 12, 16 years. This is exactly how the US loses. Every game.
This is us. This is how the United States loses. Yep.
We screw up something in the last minute. And that's what I don't like is the horrible PTSD flashbacks of, hey, look, we're beating Portugal. Better give the ball away in the middle of the field so they can come down the field and tie the game. And
right, Michael Bradley.
Now we might not make it out of group stage.
I don't need that.
Right.
And it's worth stating because you can't just look at us and say, guys, it's Panama, guys, it's this, is whatever. It's not the same thing as some of this big international play. Yes, I'm of the mindset that this isn't giving me hope. I said it. This is not making me want to buy tickets to Seattle or Los Angeles or Texas, wherever we wind up playing. It's
Correct.
not making us want to do this. The fan turnout was embarrassing, right? And yes, it's Nations League. Sure, fine. It's a semifinal. Sure, fine, whatever. But the United States men play so infrequently that you should be selling out every single game. Put it in a venue where fans are going to show up. Because it's not like it's not like the NHL where there's 87 or 81 regular season games or Major League Baseball is 150 or whatever. Like, this should feel like an NFL game, right? When they come to Columbus like twice a year, maybe. Or twice a cycle. I'm getting tickets and go to that game. I don't care if I got to take off work. Like, I'll go. And you and I went to a game against Honduras in Columbus, and it sold out, and the place was packed. And
awesome.
that's what you want to see that this is is a very affordable, the tickets were going for $65.
Mm-hmm. Day of the game,
$65. We paid $227. To go to Columbus, watch them play Mexico, and you and I paid $127 a piece to go watch them play Honduras. $65. This is not an excuse. So this is more this is more than the United States men's team. This is a bigger problem than the men's team. This is a media problem. This is a federation problem. This is an everybody problem. Because there's no reason why we're not selling that stadium out. There's no reason why hosting the tournament on home soil, you are not the feature match. Now, I get it. From a ranking perspective, the United States and Panama collectively hold less of a ranking than Mexico, Canada. I don't care. You're the host nation. Get the primetime game. Get the game that's late at night. Maybe, and there's an argument for the first game because the pitch is fresh and whatever. But we have to have those things. And there was just way too many things that didn't go our way, right? The game is flat, right? And putting aside not having the starters, because that's technically step one, is you're out 5 guys. But that's done. That's in the past. So you're out the 5 guys. What are you going to do? We put in a very bizarre lineup, which we'll get into. Some of it I think we had to do. Others of it, maybe not. We didn't audible off of that when it didn't work at all. We come out flat. We have no energy. We don't do much of anything. And then we don't use all our subs. We don't put the guys in the game that need to get in the game. We don't change tactics. And to the comments that I agreed with on the internet, it's like the ghost of Greg. Like, it didn't feel
Well,
like
you
we were
saw
getting
what
coached by a new
Pochettino
team.
said, right?
No,
You saw,
I was
so
too upset.
One of Pochettino's statements, now I don't actually know if it's true because I read an article, basically said we are waiting for the end of the 90 to put in Gio Reyna and Diego Luna.
But
So basically,
and that's what you thought too.
let's wait till extra time to throw these guys in.
Correct. And that was what your thought was, because you're like, I think that's what he was doing. And obviously, it sounds like you're right. But I'm still making the same counter, which is like, why? Why are we waiting?
Correct.
Why are you not trying to win the game in that moment? And it's crazy because Christian Pulisic really doesn't get involved. Okay, he doesn't do anything, which is very uncharacteristic of him in international play. He had the work ethic. We didn't get him the ball. Tyler Adams, absolute stud. Absolute stud.
I'm so glad he's back.
Oh my gosh. And you got to think, if he's not back in that game, we could have lost 2 or 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be tough to make that argument because a lot of his tackles were in center midfield or just shy of center. But like, man, he just was something else. I thought Chris Richards was poor. I thought Joe Scally was average. I think he came alive a little bit more in the second half.
Too late, I think.
Way too late. Tim Ream, he's fine. I like Tim Ream. The man's 37 years old.
We're not expecting him to do anything other than not let guys by him, and he's going to win the ball. And he did that.
Correct. But
he did exactly what he's on the field for.
He did exactly what he's on the field to do. The argument becomes, the man's 37 years old. Does he really have to be out there? Like, we know we don't have depth at center back. Can we get these other guys some experience? Because this is insane right now.
What are you throwing, Cameron Carter-Vickers?
I'm not saying I like any of our backup options, but I'm saying, like, we got to do something. Like, McKenzie came in. Like, can you play him for a little while, right? And then you're putting in Vickers for Richards. I don't agree with Musa at right back. I think Way has been playing right back for Juventus. I think he has to be your guy. I think that Musa had been playing right wing for us in that situation when we played Musa out on the right, Way out on the left. And that was kind of having like some kind of formality. I thought Weston McKennie, again, he just looks out of shape. He just looks slow. He looks like he's a step behind the whole game, 2 steps behind the whole game. It makes no sense to me at all. Josh Sargent, I think, did what we needed him to do. We just couldn't get him involved, which has been our argument for our strikers the entire time you and I have been talking, which was like, we got Balogun. Well, if we can't get him involved, then it's not going to matter.
If he never gets the ball, he's not going to do anything, and he's going to look terrible.
And just like Pepe, I thought he was in good spots. He made good runs. He put himself in positions where we needed to. Right, so is Ajiman. But we did what we did, 2 years ago, which is we have the ball, we play it up like at a snail's pace up the side. Oh, we can't. So then Musa plays it back. And we get out to the left. Oh, we can't. And we go back out. And it was like there was no sense of urgency. There was no pace. There was no nothing. And I told you this, I'm going to share this. 20-something minutes into this game, I was like, dude, I can't do this. Like, we're going to lose because you could just feel it. There was no energy. There was no life. There was no sense of urgency. And I am not going to make the argument that was an indication that the United States just didn't care. Like, I don't think we came out going, this game's going to be easy. We're eventually going to get one. Like, that's not the impression that I got. The impression that I got was like, somebody didn't put life in these guys. Like, and maybe that was Pochettino. Maybe Pochettino was like, come on, guys, we'll just grind this game out and we'll go make it happen. But at some point,
So look at it this way. Sargent, Tessman, Scally, Richards, Musa are all in spots they're not normally in. Right? Musa's not normally right back. And the
hold your hand up again. Hold your hand up again. How many fingers you got? And how many players were out? How many players were out? Okay, so, and again, this is worth noting. That means that 10 changes to the U.S. men's national team in the starting lineup.
Yeah, so now think about all those guys and what you're used to playing as. Right? McKennie, Adams are used to playing with Musa in the midfield because that's what they've done. He's not there now.
But at least those 2 players are in spots they normally play in. But that's it.
Correct. But then Pulisic is used to playing with those guys behind him in midfield. They're not there now. Mm-hmm. It's only Adams and Tessman.
Now, how did you feel
right?
about Tessman as the starter? Would you have gone with
Well,
Tessman?
I mean, I wouldn't have started Jack McGlynn. And who else do you put there? Like, look at our roster that who we had. Who else goes there?
Your
Do you just
jersey.
not place?
You got to bring him.
He's not on the
You got to
roster.
bring him though. That was a roster mistake for me. And it
So-
and also I'm gonna give this really quick side note rant because I have to, and then I'm gonna give it right back to you. I am so tired
No
of
one
the
knows
media.
who we're talking about.
What?
No one knows who we're talking about.
No, I know nobody knows.
We
Nobody
didn't
knows what we're
say
talking
his
about.
name.
We didn't say Buzio's name. Gianluca Buzio. I'm so tired of the media making points about how excited they are and how great our coach is because they brought a buttload more MLS guys. On this one time, Berhalter brought 4, and then before that, there was only 2 guys, and Pochettino's putting his money where his mouth is because we brought 8. Why? We're bringing 8 guys from the MLS. We have more players playing overseas than we've ever had playing overseas. They're playing a top-level team, like they're in Tier 1 of Class A everything. Like, they're in the top divisions, the top levels of those divisions, and half of them are playing in Champions League.
Well, okay, so let's look at it. If those 5 guys that aren't hurt are here, how many MLS guys do we have?
I think we
Right?
have 8.
Yes, then it goes down to 3 because you got to drop 5 guys. So
That's
who you
fair.
dropping?
No, that's fair.
You're
That's
dropping-
fair.
You're dropping
It
two
took me a second.
defenders.
I think you could watch
You're
the
dropping
wheels
2
turn on that one.
defenders.
Right.
Who goes? Probably Patrick Schulte or like Maximilian Arfston. Like, who are these guys?
Yeah, he's gone.
Right?
Right, he's gone.
Bye. MLS player, bye-bye. Right?
Correct.
So we really only had 3, which isn't that many.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, that's a good
Right?
argument. That's a good argument.
And would I like Buzio to be there? Yes. Does it hurt every time I see him not on the roster for
Mhm.
camps? Yes, it hurts. Because watching Tessman and McGlynn play, I think he's better than that.
Now, McGlynn was not bad, though.
Correct.
I
He
thought for the performance that McGlynn put on, when you looked at the 10 guys that we had, when he came on, he was one of the few players that I was like, he's trying. Like, to Jack McGlynn's credit, he came on, he took a couple quality shots, and he at least went, this is my opportunity to earn a spot on this roster, and I'm going to take it, which is way more than could be said for Musa. And I don't remember who told us this. It could have been Dad. It could have been one of our friends. I could have heard it from a comment. I believe that every single person should just lose their starting spot, and everybody should have to fight for it again. I think it was my buddy Joe who said this, because we got to lose this. We got to lose this mentality of we're just going to start these guys. Because like Weston McKennie didn't give me a reason to want to start him, and he hasn't given me a reason multiple times in the past.
So let's go to this game. Wes McKennie doesn't look like he wants to start. Who do you put in instead of him?
No, I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying I'm starting anybody else just to send a message. Like
Who?
you play Jack McGlynn then. And when everybody's like, what the heck are
Ryan
you doing?
Gutierrez?
That's what I'm saying. Just play somebody, right?
Throw him in there.
Throw him in
Okay.
there. Because this and not for that like the results thing, but like just to send the message of like, guys, it's not good enough. Like this performance is not going to get you there.
And we
can't
could
have
see
it-
that Sunday.
And
against
Weston
Canada.
McKennie almost scored. Weston McKennie did almost score. Right, that ball got played in. If he gets a little bit more ahead of it, he's heading it in the far corner. He's got to reach kind of back for it, and so it's just coming off at the goalie.
And against Canada, we might see that. We might see Musa not starting. We might see McKinney not starting. Pochettino's I get everyone's already like, oh God, he's his first real test. He's blundered it already. He's a good coach.
What do you think the honest? What do you think
He's
the
a smart guy?
What do you think the honest chance is that this coach loses his job before? Like, I'm going to ask it differently. Is there any possibility, with whatever results you could make up, that Pochettino could lose his job before the World Cup?
Yeah, we would have to start doing abysmally bad everywhere. Like
if we just so what if we lose on Sunday, we go into June, we lose 3-0 to Turkey, and we lose 4-0 to Switzerland.
What
are you sitting
there?
The next window is the World Cup year.
Yeah. But we don't have qualifiers.
Correct. We don't have qualifiers, which means we're struggling to just find a bunch of opening. I actually don't know when the next window is going to be. We mapped
Okay.
it out. You and I mapped it. It's in a previous video. We mapped out how many windows there were.
It'll be interesting, but I
I'm gonna look it up.
I I can't imagine them throwing him out this fast. He hasn't had time. Like he's had 6 games. What do you do with 6 games? Right? You see the guys for all of like a week every couple of months.
Right.
So
When is
just
it saying this?
I
What does
mean,
it have?
I think the US would have to perform very badly and there'd have to be some pretty nasty like drama with the team and the head coach there for him to go. But who knows?
So it would have to be pretty bad, you're saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Um
I kind of agree, and I just don't see a world where like they would make that decision. Like even if things got really bad, like they already got
what
really bad, and it was already like, okay, we're halfway through the window. That's already pretty late. Like, are we gonna let Greg go? Because I'm sure there was a decent conversation that like let's put it this way. Let's say we don't get grouped in Copa America, okay, but we lose in the next one. So we don't get grouped, but we lose in the semi or the quarter, whatever way it was, and the same results are happening since then. The exact same results have happened since then. You're not letting Greg go, probably. So
yeah,
like
probably not.
I don't see a reason for them to be letting like Pochettino go. And I think the only reason, honestly, because I even thought about this, of even putting those things in your videos is just to get the clicks.
Well,
Because
I mean,
it's like a fun thing to talk about.
everyone that's the first thing they go to. And 90% of the time I don't think it's the coach's fault. This game, yeah, maybe he didn't use the right subs, right? He doesn't sub in Gio Reyna, he doesn't sub in Diego Luna, right? Maybe you could say it's Pochettino's fault. But look at the way they played.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
It's
really Pochettino's
No,
fault?
thank you, because that's one of those
Right?
things where I'm just like, I don't care what Pochettino's telling you on the bench. You made the choice to come out there and suck, like you did. You made
Right?
the choice to come
And
out there
and
and
I
not
get
try.
and I get that Pochettino could say this is our game plan, this is what we're going to do. If it gets to this time, we're going to try to do this, right? Like if it gets past the 85th minute and it's still 0-0, we're just going to try to play for extra time, right? And I get that those coaching decisions affect players' mentality in the game, but from what I saw from the first half highlights and from what you've said, we look bad.
Okay, so we did. I have the international match calendar. I'm going to finish the statement and then we can look at it. It's so important to think about the factors that like coaches have on and the ones that coaches don't. The mentality that the players come out with, yes, I can put a lot of that on the coach, right? The tactics we're going to play, the coach. The game plan, the coach, right? Because the coach is going to set that message and set that tone really early on. Then after that, when you're on the field, the players start to have an effect on the atmosphere in there, right? Whether it's Matt Turner giving the post-game speech, whether it's Pulisic giving the post-game, there's something in there. But once that game kicks off, outside of the tactics, there's not like you and I played. You don't like not give 100%, right? Because
Correct.
your Poch isn't going, guys, chill out. You know what I
Correct.
mean? So it's like, why aren't we putting in this effort? Like, why do I have to consistently watch games where our guys just like do not give a crap the whole time that they're out there? It's so infuriating to me. Like, we go up and down all over the place. And I'm sitting here watching this game going like, did the golden age of these kids already come and go? Like in the build up to the previous World Cup and in those opening group stage matches, like was that peak US soccer and all these guys are just dead in the water now? And like, what are we doing? No, I
Based on
don't
the way they're playing overseas, I wouldn't say that.
And that's the
But
other thing that's crazy is we're playing so well overseas.
you got better players around you.
So,
Like,
but I'm just saying, but that makes me so mad when I read the comments of like U.S. soccer's overrated and this and that and this and that. It's just like if you looked at the United States players and you looked at the Panama's players, you're out of your mind if we're just drafting guys and you're like, okay, who are you taking first pick? Right? Are you taking anybody on Panama's team first pick?
no.
Are you second pick?
Nope.
Third-
the only person.
No, I'm serious. Third pick. Are you
No.
taking somebody from Panama? Third, fourth pick.
I'm literally telling you, if the U.S. has all their starters, the only
But, like-
person I'm taking on Panama before I even finish drafting the entire U.S. is probably Carrasquilla.
Right. That's what. Okay. So that's what I'm saying is we can sit here and say it's overrated. It's this and that. If I gave you all of those players to draft, Like, think to yourself, if you're a home commenting on this, how many American players would you go through before you drafted somebody from Panama?
And maybe Blackman from Panama
Right.
as well.
Now, like, if I'm being generous, that number's at least 5. You might go, I'm taking the top 5 U.S. guys, and then I'm going to take a Panama guy, and then a couple U.S., and then a couple Panama in the U.S. Maybe. I think that's being generous. I don't see, and like you think about this with other countries, like, okay, so go to Jamaica, go to Costa Rica, go to Canada's team, go to Mexico's team. Like, we have the depth. We have all of this, and I just don't believe the argument that our players are overrated. But all right, so international match window. Let's see. We are in March? So there are 2 matches in March. We don't see another opening window until June.
Yep.
There are 2 matches in June, and then the Gold Cup happens June 14th to July 6th. Okay, so there's international games. Then there is a September window.
That'll be big. If we don't get second or first in that, Pochettino's going to be in trouble.
Correct. So now, and we're going to look at the number of matches that are remaining, because I think that's super important to give people an idea of like how much you think you're going to need from another coach to get in. So we have 2 matches in June. Gold Cup. The Gold Cup will be 4 matches, maybe?
It can be, yeah.
Okay, so let's assume that we play at least 3. So there's 5.
Okay.
2 in September, the 7. 2 in October is 9. 2 in November is 11. And then you don't see any play until next March. That's 13. And then the June, which are the friendlies in preparation for the World Cup, which brings us to 15. So
yeah, he's going to do...
We have three games left with the U.S. before we see the Gold Cup, then the Gold Cup. After the Gold Cup, there's 10. So Pochettino currently hasn't even played with the United States as 10 games as there are remaining after this. I don't see him, even if we get grouped in the Gold Cup. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, in a year, and I like looking at this, I feel like I guess a little bit better. If this performance was next March, I'm not buying tickets to the World Cup.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not doing it. If next March we put in like a 6-0 spanking of somebody, like a Panama, like equivalent of a Panama, or we play Uruguay and beat them 2-0, or we play in Ecuador and beat them 2-0, or we, scrimmage Germany and it's like a 2-2 draw or something like that, that will get me motivated. That will get me excited and back into it. But I think it's going to take stuff like that.
Even if we did a friendly against like England, Germany, and lose 1-0 or 2-1, I think that's enough to get excited for.
I think it's enough. Correct. I think it's enough to get excited for too. Okay, so first half, yeah, meh, it's whatever. You joined me for the second half. I kind of fill you in on that, and my fears for the game are realized, right? Like, we don't come out in the second half really with any fight. Yes, we make a couple changes. Like, we bring in, I still don't know how to pronounce it.
Agimon.
I have to not think Pokemon. I have to think Digimon because it's Agimon, and it's like got the same kind of inflection. So we bring in Agimon. He's doing fine. We bring in the midfielder, McGlynn. He's doing fine. And then Richards has to come out. And you get to the point where you're like 65, 70, 75 minutes, where you're 80 minutes, where you're starting to wonder, like, where's everybody else? Now, to your point, the bench is not deep. And so if you're looking to win this game, you're probably not going whatever that guy's name you said is Artifans or whatever.
Let me read you the guys that didn't come on the field.
Correct. Read the guys, because there's one name that I think everybody universally is going, what is going on?
Okay.
Because, yeah.
Let me know how many of these names you recognize that aren't goalies. Okay? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys here. Zach Stefan's a goalie, so we'll remove him. There's 8. I think 3 of these names you will recognize. Mm-hmm. So first is Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Okay.
You know him.
Yep, okay. You know him.
Maximilian Arfston.
No idea.
Okay. Giovanni Reyna.
Yes, there's one. There he is.
Diego Luna.
We got to come back to him. I know Diego Luna.
Okay. Brian Gutierrez.
Heard the name, not watched him play. So not really. No.
Marlon Joseph Fossey.
Nope.
Patrick Schulte.
Goalie, right?
No.
Dang. Didn't know that.
Ben White.
I'm a bad fan. Don't recognize that name.
That's the other goalie.
Ben White's the other goalie?
Yeah, Zach Steffen and Ben White were the
Dang.
two goalies.
I thought Schulte was a goalie.
Oh,
That's
no, he is. Hang on. Is
Okay.
Ben White also a goalie?
Maybe. Did we bring 3
No.
backup goalies? No, Ben
No,
White's gotta
Ben
be a
White.
player.
I got him confused. Yeah, he is a.
Okay, so it's Zach
no,
Schulte,
he plays
Zach
for
Schulte, and
Vancouver?
or Patrick Schulte and Zach Steffen were the backup
Yeah.
goalies.
He
Okay.
plays for. He's a. What does he even play? He plays for Vancouver. He's a striker. He started 4 games. He has 1 goal on 11 shots,
Okay.
and it was
So,
the
but
header.
so you're right. So, but that leaves this void of, and you asked the right question. What's going on behind the scenes then with Giovanni Reyna? Because
Yeah, he hasn't played.
we understood why he wasn't playing with Berhalter at first, because we knew there was a lot of drama going on with Berhalter. But he's a stud. Even if you don't
Maybe he's
start
not.
him, he's coming.
Maybe
I don't
he's
know, man.
not.
He's come off the bench and put in work in every game that I've seen. Like
I haven't seen
unless
him.
this kid's attitude is you know what, I don't see any reason why you're not bringing him in off the bench and letting him go to work.
I mean, he's not performing well at Dortmund right now. He's not.
He
I
hasn't been
think
performing well at Dortmund when he was doing well for us.
correct. I think he's like. I think he's got like 1 or 2 goals. He has 0 assists. Right, and I think he's played like 15 or 16 games. Like that's bad.
Right.
Right, for somebody that's like praised on he can create and make, like, he's really good at feeding the ball in behind to get goal scoring opportunities, to have no assists in
Right.
15. I want to say it's 15 games
Well, and that's why I'm interested to watch that Pulisic documentary, because
that he's
There's-
played. Because
there's
I know
a lot
he's been hurt.
of yes, there's a lot of players who are making the argument that it's just tough being a U.S. soccer player overseas.
I'm sure it is.
And I don't know if Reyna's inability to perform is that. And I do have some evidence. I'm not trying to be super subjective about this.
Think
Because-
about the travel. If you are anywhere in Europe, getting from one place to another is like 5 hours by plane.
Mhm.
Right? To get back to the US, it's like 10. Right? Players that play in England or in France that live in, Italy or Spain can go home on like a long weekend.
That's
And
well,
get-
yeah,
And a US player can't.
correct.
That's
Well,
tough.
and when even if you play international matches over there, like in the Champions League, I mean, you're looking at like 2 to 5 hour train rides to places. You're playing in England. It's like a 2-hour bus ride's like the max, right? That you're
Yeah,
going on. Like
and-
most of your derbies are like
That's tough. So like
super tough.
you don't get to see your family unless they're over there. Like you don't get to see your friends. You don't get to,
Mhm. Well, and I'm even talking about these other pieces because I mean, you watch a lot more of the international soccer than I do, and I try to watch as many of the highlights of the Americans as I can. And one of the things I've noticed over the last couple months is Christian Pulisic is scoring a lot of goals. He's been involved in
for
not a
while
ton.
there, for a while there, he hadn't scored a goal from free play in like a long time because he was scoring from the penalty spot. But
No,
a goal
correct.
is a goal.
A goal's a goal, but he then went on a streak where he was scoring a lot of goals, like with the run of play. And one of the things that I noticed was his teammates don't celebrate with him, and it was very weird. But like it was sometimes. But if you watch AC Milan score goals, there are a lot of players on that team that no matter when they score the goal, 4 or 5 teammates go over and surround them and hug them and do whatever. And I've watched Christian score 5 or 6 goals recently where like he'll score a banger and he'll walk over to the corner flag and nobody follows him.
But it could also be something that he has said, like, guys, if I
It
score
could
like
be.
if I score a
I mean, that's a
worldie,
weird thing for Christian to do.
He could be like, guys, if I score a worldie, let me celebrate by myself so people can get sweet photos.
I don't know,
Right?
man. Maybe,
But
but I just think that's weird.
Let's jump ahead. Sunday. Right?
Yep, we're going to play Canada because Canada got
Third
beat
place
pretty
team.
badly.
Canada looked terrible.
Awful.
They look almost worse than us.
Correct.
Um, Obviously, I would like to see some changes in our lineup. Um, Especially in the back because Canada's got speed.
Do you start
Um,
Ajimang?
I
No,
think
you know
you do.
what? You finish. Finish your statement, and then tell me who you start.
Um, I think you need to make some changes in the back, not because I think the players are bad, but Yunus Musa is too aggressive to be a right back against someone like Schaffelberg. Because
Yes. And Yunus Musa doesn't have the pace because we saw that when he tried to attack up the right flank, as he would hit the ball ahead of himself, and Panama would just run him down.
yes, and the same with Tim Ream through the center. Now, I'm not saying take Tim Ream out. I think he plays, and I think that's fine because he's experienced enough and composed enough to always do the right thing.
Right. We're not going to see Richards, I don't think. I think with his
I
head
don't
injury,
think.
I
I
think
think
we're going to
we'll
see McKenzie.
Yes, or Cameron Carter Vickers. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's Vickers just because he's a bigger guy.
Do you
And he
think
can.
we see any other changes at back? Like, do you think that Scally maybe plays on the right, we play another left back, or vice versa? You know, like,
I actually think Tim Weah plays as a defender.
you think so? Now, here's the other thing: is Sunday being viewed as like a must win? Like, is Pochettino going out and going, well, I'm actually not going to take this opportunity to try out a bunch of dudes. Like, now I feel like the pressure's on us that we have to win. Like, we got to get points out of this window.
Well, Canada's going out to win, so if we don't, it's going to be a slaughter.
That's
But
my fear, and my fear is that we just
he might go.
we
Let's
just
play a whole
bag
bunch
it.
of guys. Yeah,
Correct. And he just
and
goes, you know
treat it
what?
as a
Like,
friendly.
let's get some experience and whatever. And like, here's the thing: if we look at our starting 11, and that's what our starting 11 is, I will be able to mentally prepare myself to get potentially beat by Canada 2 or 3-0. And then I'll be sitting here going, I don't care that we lost. I'm inspecting the players. If we play a starting 11 that's similar to what we just played against Panama, and we lose 2 or 3-0, I'm gonna flip tables in here, because like that's just to me like it's just unacceptable.
So here's my question to you: will you feel better if we get third place instead of fourth?
I will feel better if our starting 11 beats Canada's.
No,
but
that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
No, I'm not gonna feel
Will
any
you?
different. No,
So
it was.
why does it matter?
No, that's a good point. To me, I'm looking at this game going, and I'm going to take what you said. I'm actually going to stretch it. If we play our best starting 11, and so does Canada, and we win that game 1-0, and it's a struggle, that's not a win for me. I'd rather have played a bunch of bums and lost. If we win 2-0, and it's a struggle, still not much of a win. I'm looking at 2-0 or better with like 70% possession, 65% plus possession, and a domination of Canada, right? Or it's got to be 3-4-0 or 3-4-1, because I get they might get one at the end. But like I guess it goes along with what you're saying, that like I don't really care if it's third or fourth. I'm looking at the performance.
So let's say the U.S. dominates the whole game, plays really well, and Canada's goalie plays absolutely mind-bogglingly insane, and the U.S. loses 1-0. Is it a loss?
Yeah, to me it still feels like a loss, but only because we have a history of just not being able to capitalize in the final third. Which it brings me back, and this is the point that I meant to make. I don't understand how we can't deal with a low block. It's been 6 years that CONCACAF has been like, we're playing the United States, low block. All right, team on 3. With no other game plan. Literally no other game plan. You would think someone, the players, a random fan, a coach, an assistant coach, one of the trainers who's giving people water would have figured something out. Okay? But to that point, international teams don't do that. A lot of our international competition, like England did not go against the United States and go, I forget, what is his name? Southgate?
Gareth Southgate.
Gareth Southgate wasn't like, we're going to play a low block, boys. Like, they played a mid block, and they tried to compete in the midfield, and we outclassed them. They didn't even really try to play in the counterattack. They just played English football.
So why waste your time trying to figure out how to beat it if you don't need to beat it?
which is a fair question. I appreciate you asking that question
Because
because at
we
one point
can't
Canada
play we
didn't.
can't play these guys in group stage in the World
Correct.
Cup. We
Right.
physically can't.
Correct. And what did Chris say? He was like, I think at one point Chris said, which we also have to go to his other text because it was depressing and hilarious.
Oh, when he
Chris,
said the U.S. is looking good, and then we immediately
oh,
got
and then we
scored.
immediately gave it. But Chris said, "Wow, they're in a 6-4-0 right now."
Yes.
Panama
I
was
mean, it started
Panama
the game
for
in a
15 minutes
5-4-1.
in that and for 15 minutes in the second half, Canada was playing a
Canada.
Panama was playing a 6-4-0.
Yeah.
Like no offense, no nothing. And then yes, Chris said at 8:52 p.m., well, at least we've been well organized. We've won the ball back higher and we haven't made any stupid mistakes, which immediately was followed up and I quite literally mean
having a terrible header to a turnover to we got scored on.
I mean immediately, like it was like text and then immediately wow. And my response was, we're hot trash. Because I thought we were. We're hot trash.
So my thing is, we're at the point now where the Nations League doesn't mean anything, even if you win it, right? What is it? Oh, cool.
But is that too
hoist hardware? Cool.
But is that too arrogant of a stance? Like, is that too arrogant of a stance to say I'm just pushing back from everybody else. I kind of agree with you that I think we need to get past all this CONCACAF crap.
Does hardware actually matter, or does only certain hardware matter? Right? Look at the Premier League. Does the Carabao Cup really matter? Right. Or does the FA Cup matter? Or does the actual Premier League Cup matter?
Exactly. Because I think what happens is people take two different arguments and they combine them into one. And the first argument is the United States doesn't win a single game until the World Cup. And then the United States wins, what is it, 8? 8 games in a row.
And we win the World Cup.
Right? Or is it 6? 3 group stage. No, it's going to be more.
Now.
It might be 7 or 8. But let's assume it's 7. Then they win 7 games in a row. So we lose the next 15 games we play, and then we win 7 games in a row and we win the World Cup. Right? What matters?
Is it a success? Is it a success?
Everybody would say that's a massive success. We'd build statues of Pochettino. We'd have a soccer Mount Rushmore for the first time.
Whoever scored the game-winning goal is going to be like immortalized forever.
Yes, we're going to have a soccer Mount Rushmore of half the guys on the squad. The second argument is, I just don't think our team is good enough to do that, right? Like, and because what they're doing is saying, if you went 0-15, you're probably not good enough to go 7-0. That argument is also fair, but you can't combine both of them. You can't go, it's not okay that the United States goes 0-15 and then 7-0 because it still means they're terrible. But then also say, but the World Cup games matter and wins matter. Correct. You don't get to win the 7 most important games, but because you lost 15 friendlies, that it's just like, oh, you guys are worthless. Now, I agree. If we lose the next 15 games,
this is the first Nations League the U.S. hasn't won.
Right.
Right? Who cares?
Right.
So we have how many of them? What has it done for us?
Correct.
Right? We've got how many Gold Cup wins do we have? What has it done for us?
It won like 3 of the last 4 or something like that, yeah.
What has it done for Mexico?
Right.
Nothing. It does nothing. Because it's irrelevant when it comes to international. People that win the Euro, I think the Euro is probably like the second most important freaking trophy.
Right. And if we go out to that point, if we go out there and beat Canada tomorrow, Canada finished better than us in the Copa America. And what did it do?
Nothing.
Correct. Because you're right. Like
actually, every team that's in the Final Four finished better than us in the Copa America.
Every team. Every single one of them. Because we were trash. That's the video that has the most views for us on YouTube is when we were talking about them getting knocked out. And me like this. My like 12 chins. Which I hope everybody likes this new setup. I got a lot of swag. I got my USA hoodie on that I got. I hope you guys like whatever this is that I put down in here with our little jerseys and stuff. Ryan's got a 0 because he's a goalie. I don't know. Hopefully it makes people more like the video more. But no, you're absolutely right. And I think we take the two arguments. Right, that's right. Hit that bell. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. That's how the algorithm works. But You can't take both of those things. Like, it really infuriates me that people are going, like, because we're playing this badly right now, there's obviously no way that we're going to play better in the future. And I just don't think that that's true.
It's the great argument of if every game is important, none of them are important.
Correct. There have to be some games that are more important than
Because
others.
if every game means the exact same thing, then none of the games are important. They're all exactly the same. If we win a friendly, it's like we won the World Cup.
Right. And for and for
Yay!
us to look at Panama, it's like Panama beats us. It's like, okay, great. Panama beat us. Like, good for you guys. That's a big game for you. But
Correct.
for the United States, it's like, okay, we lost to Panama. Like, who cares? Like, I'm not worried about Panama because Panama doesn't do anything for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I get that people are like, well, the U.S. has got to find a way to beat them because they keep losing to them. Why? When are we going to play them in anything that's not CONCACAF? We're
Right.
not.
Right. I
We-
mean,
'cause
it's
we're
like,
gonna
you know,
go to the
you play
World Cup
Trinidad, you
and-
play Trinidad and Tobago, you play Costa Rica, you play that. Like,
And I get with the new
that's big
format-
games for them.
I get with the new format, teams like Panama might get out of group stage because there's going to be more teams getting out because there's more teams making it. But you cannot tell me that people expect Panama to go into a group with like Brazil, Switzerland, them, and like
Japan,
or like
Ghana,
Oman or something,
yeah,
and expect Panama to come out of that group and then make it somewhere in the knockout
Right.
stage.
right. Because
Because
we're going into groups
If
of three
Panama
now.
comes out in third place in that group, which should be where they finish,
Mhm.
right? You're playing the winner of like the best group.
Correct.
So it's like, oh, Panama
it's
goes and
groups
plays
of
Brazil.
three. Correct. It's groups of three, which means if Panama finishes third, you're getting like the I don't know, the buy-in basically spot, and then you're right. You're automatically having to play like an absolute stud for a play-in
Like,
game.
welcome, you're playing France. Uh-oh.
Right.
Goodbye.
And when you look at the ways that the brackets are going to go with all the teams, it's not like when the teams go out, the United States isn't going to be team 2 in that pick, right? And it's not just because we're hosting. We would be team 1 regardless because we're going to be ranked in the top 15 teams.
Yes.
Panama at best is going to be the second best team. And they might be third, which means like Panama doesn't have like the United States where it's like the United States is playing, you know, the Iran and St. Kitts and Nevis, right? And you're like, oh, who is this, right? Like, it's obvious the United States is going to come out. I mean, maybe not obvious, but it's pretty obvious. We beat Iran before that we're going to come out on top. This is like Mexico, or not. Mexico's a bad example. You said Switzerland is in a group with Panama and like, you know, Mali.
Palestine.
Right, something like that. Yeah, and it's just like, okay, like what, like, you know, how are we going to get there? Like, yeah,
right?
Ukraine, like somebody like Japan, like somebody in there.
A team that doesn't really make it, but is right there on qualifying almost every year.
Right, which is why I'm thinking like an Egypt, a Senegal, a Nigeria, right? Like, they're good, they're quality teams in the Africa Cup of Nations, but because of the limited number of spots,
it'd be more like Ivory Coast.
It'd be more like Ivory Coast, right. But so like you think about it, it's like there's not a guarantee that they're going to do that. Whereas if you were like the United States is going to play a Kuwait, the United States is going to play a, you know, Ivory Coast, the United States is going to play, you'd be thinking like, okay, like it's a win. Is it going to be 2-0? Is it going to be 3-0?
Correct.
But all right. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking for the Canada game?
Score-wise?
What's your prediction? Then we'll wrap this puppy up. We'll call it.
Prediction 1-1 into extra time. U.S. loses in a shootout.
You go to shootouts in the Sunday game? Dang.
Someone's got to get third place.
I'm still taking my United States loses 2-0 pick.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
I think Ajiman scores. I think Canada gets a goal late-ish. I think extra time is very uneventful, and then I think the U.S. loses because we just don't have the depth to do a penalty shootout.
Okay.
So, there you go.
That works for me. All right. Well, you guys can go ahead and leave your thoughts, predictions down in the comment section. Let us know what you thought of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was a long one. We're trying to get back in here. I got a brand new computer. You can't see it, but it's there. I got the brand new setup. I think it's a little tipped, maybe. We'll see. We're still working on all the stuff. I'm glad to have Ryan back here, dude. It was a pleasure having you with me, joining us for this. Excited to have everybody back in here. United States playing on Sunday against Canada, and then we won't see them again until June for the friendlies. Ryan and I are trying to be at the one in Turkey, against Turkey, not in Turkey. Yeah,
No, let's
against
go.
Turkey.
We're going now.
It should be exciting, so hopefully we get some live stuff there. But until the next one, we appreciate you guys checking it out. We'll catch you later.